Mako is a B&M hypercoaster located at SeaWorld Orlando in Orlando, Florida. It is currently Florida's fastest roller coaster, and it also shares the record with Sheikra at Busch Gardens Tampa as Florida's tallest roller coaster. This coaster also has a lot of significance to me as a coaster enthusiast. This was the first hypercoaster that I had ever ridden back in 2016, and it was also the tallest and fastest roller coaster I had ridden from 2016 up until 2021 when I visited Cedar Point. Anyways, let's discuss the stats of this coaster. This ride reaches a maximum height of 200 feet, which classifies it as a hypercoaster. The ride has a drop of 200 feet and reaches a maximum speed of 73 miles per hour. This ride has a track length of 4,760 feet, which made it the longest roller coaster in Florida up until 2019 when Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure opened at Islands of Adventure just 6.5 miles away. Now let's discuss the layout of this coaster. This coaster starts off by leaving the station, taking a slight right turn, and then it begins to climb its 200-foot lift hill. This lift hill actually has audio. There's a song that plays during this lift hill, which really adds to not only the theming, but also the anticipation of this coaster. Eventually, you crest the lift hill and take in a nice view of the lake or pond or whatever it is that this ride takes place over. After that, you plummet down the 200-foot drop. Following the drop, you go up this large overbank turn, which really tilts you over the lake or pond or whatever it is. Following that element, you go up this large airtime hill, which gives you a lot of floater airtime. Following that, the ride goes into this turnaround element, which can be pretty intense to be honest. After that, the ride goes into this airtime hill that I believe gives either good ejector or flowjector airtime. Following that, the ride goes into yet another hill, but this one banks into a right turn. Then the ride goes into a speed hill that actually gives good ejector airtime, and then the ride goes up into the mid-course brake run. Following this, the ride goes into a left turn that is then followed by an airtime hill that I believe gives some pretty good floater airtime. That is then followed by an overbank turn to the right. That is then followed by an overbank turn to the left. And then you go through this left turn over a lake, and then you go up into the final brake run. So what are my overall thoughts on this coaster? So I remember when I first rode this coaster back like a couple weeks after it opened in 2016, and like I said before, it was my first B&M hypercoaster, and at the time it was the tallest and fastest coaster I had ridden. And I really enjoyed this coaster, and it was actually my favorite coaster for, I believe, a year, up until I visited Dollywood and rode Lightning Rod. Although now my favorite coaster that I've ever ridden is Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. I will say that I remember in 2015 seeing announcements for this coaster, and I remember being very hyped about this coaster. And when I got to ride this coaster, I will say it definitely, I would say, met my expectations. It may have even exceeded them because I remember it being a lot of fun, and even riding it today, it's still a lot of fun. This ride used to be my favorite coaster in Florida, and this was the case from 2016 all the way up until 2021, and that was when Velocicoaster opened at Islands of Adventure just 6.5 miles away. I believe that coaster is now the best coaster in Florida. So that will be all for this review. If you want to see more coaster related content like this, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and be sure to turn on post notifications to get notified of my newest and latest uploads. I'll see you guys in the next video.